All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending tonight's community meeting on the 440 Broadway redevelopment project, also known as the Salvation Army. We're joined this evening by Dave Tregorth from the Tregorth Companies, Alberto Calvo from Stop and Compare Supermarkets, and their team of architects and retail specialists who have proposed an affordable housing redevelopment project on the site. Before we dive into the proposal, I want to talk a little bit about the history of this site and how the city came about owning it. Over the course of the last 5 years, the city of Chelsea and residents throughout the community have been without access to affordable, accessible housing. As a result, the city, through the Department of Housing and Community Development, has sought to develop new affordable housing that's accessible to residents regardless of their incomes. Furthermore, we are striving to take underutilized and vacant property in the downtown and create new retail spaces that can be accessed by minority entrepreneurs and residents of Chelsea who are seeking to begin businesses. After acquiring the property a little over 2 years ago, the city released a request for proposals for a redevelopment partner to undertake the project. In the request for proposals, we set out numerous objectives that we heard directly from the community as well as from our nonprofit partners. First, one of the main objectives of this project is to create extremely affordable rental housing that can be accessed by residents of Chelsea. Secondly, we heard from residents and from council the desire to create affordable homeownership opportunities, particularly for minority first-time home buyers. And lastly, one of the overarching objectives was to repurpose this ground floor retail space as a productive use for future businesses and entrepreneurs that might not be able to afford rents in downtown Broadway. So after factoring these three objectives into the request for proposals, we released the request for proposals approximately 1 month ago and received a proposal from the Tregorth Companies. Tonight, Dave Tregorth, who's principal of the Tregorth Companies, will walk us through their proposal as well as the budget for the project. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to hear directly from the community on their thoughts and feedback on this particular project, as well as the vision from the site. This feedback will inform the decision that the city manager and ultimately the city council makes on how to proceed with this important project. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dave and his team, who can walk us through their proposed concept.
Thank you, Alex, and I want to thank Alberto from the team who's going to help me translate tonight. Sure. Thanks, Alberto. Thank you to Alex, Tom, for the opportunity to come tonight, and for all of you for coming out. We really appreciate the opportunity and are excited about this project and excited about being here tonight.
Muchas gracias a Tom y a todos ustedes por asistir a esta reunión. Estamos muy excitados o emocionados sobre este proyecto y espero que ustedes también al final de la presentación también estén. Gracias.
So Alex went through some of the timeline, but I did just want to review how we got to tonight.
Sí, solamente queremos ir en el schedule, ¿no? De cómo hemos llegado aquí y tocar los puntos principales de la cronología del proyecto.
And I do just want to say we'll have a Spanish version of this presentation up on the website probably later tonight, and so that'll be available for people.
La presentación ha sido traducida al español y va a estar en el website para todo el mundo.
So I'll quickly run through this since Alex already has, but it's been about 2 years since the city took control of the site.
Hace 2 años que la ciudad obtuvo el control del site, del sitio.
And we responded to the request for proposals in May of this year.
Y después de planificación por parte de la ciudad, mandaron a una licitación a general y nosotros, el team, el equipo, hizo la propuesta basado en esa licitación.
And this is really just an opportunity to share our vision for the site. I'll talk towards the end of the presentation about where we go from here, but tonight is a really opportunity to get some feedback from the community at this point.
Y el propósito de esta noche es recibir comentarios de la comunidad sobre el proyecto que tenemos en visión.
So tonight we're going to talk about who we are as a team, then we'll talk about the project, and then we'll get right into question and answers.
Sí, entonces vamos a hablar un poco del equipo, de nosotros, sobre el proyecto y después lo abrimos a preguntas y respuestas.
So one of the things I'm most excited about for this project is working with this team. And in addition to Tregorth Companies, which is Dan and I, and we'll introduce the whole team, we have We Serve Safely, who is a specialist in restaurant design, kitchens, consulting. We have Place Tailor, which is a specialist in high-performance multifamily buildings. We have the Hispanic American Institute, which has a great background in raising money, helping small businesses, technical assistance, and we have Stop and Compare as well, which needs no introduction.
Sí, entonces este es el equipo que hemos formado. Tregorth and Companies es el que desarrolla el proyecto. Estamos, let me see if I follow the sequence. We Serve Safely, aquí a la izquierda, por Sergio Espinosa. Él es especialista en diseñar y ayudar a restaurantes, sobre todo de comida latina, latinos, para poder facilitar su desempeño. Tenemos a Place Tailor, el arquitecto que está especializado en desarrollos de low income housing, de comunidad, de viviendas, ¿no? de bajos recursos. Hispanic American Institute, mi amigo Nadar Acevedo, que el instituto está enfocado en ayudar a pequeños negocios en Massachusetts a prosperar, y ellos han recibido un contrato del Estado para ayudar a restaurantes, sobre todo que han sido afectados. Y finalmente yo soy el dueño, propietario, fundador de Party con Party, Stop and Compare, aquí desde el año 1996.
And so those are the organization, and these are the people. And we work together as a team to put this proposal together. I'm Dave Tregorth, principal of the Tregorth Companies, and really our specialization is taking public and private resources and making good projects happen.
Yeah. Dave Tregorth, el principal de Tregorth Companies, y la especialización es tratar de traer proyectos comunitarios que sean beneficiosos para la comunidad, y atraer fondos individuales, privados y públicos para hacer estos proyectos realidad.
And hello, everybody. My name is Dan Hubbard. I'm Dave's partner. We've been working together for about a decade now, and primarily I have been focusing on the complex financing behind affordable housing developments and how to make these work financially, access the resources that can allow us to restrict these units to lower levels of income.
Yeah. Dan Hubbard es el socio de Dan Tragorth, de Tragorth Companies. Llevan trabajando juntos 10 años en proyectos de esta clase. Él está enfocado en la parte financiera, que es compleja, para poder traer affordable housing, o sea, asequible, ¿no? a comunidades de pocos ingresos, y él es especialista en ese tipo de financiación y de buscar fondos para hacer estos proyectos viables.
Hi, my name is Andres Bernal. I'm with Place Taylor. We are an architecture firm that focuses on high-performance housing and affordable housing. We've been working primarily in the Boston metropolitan region and doing this type of work. Mi nombre es Andrés Bernal, soy el arquitecto principal de Place Taylor. Somos una firma de arquitectos que se enfocan en desarrollos residenciales de bastantes unidades. Y nuestro enfoque es en residencial para que bajo uso de energía en las unidades y en los edificios que diseñamos.
Come on over here.
I come, or can I?
Yeah, so they can see you.
I go over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the camera can see you. Yeah, so the camera can see you. We want them to see your pretty face.
Thank you. Oh, my God. Hello, I'm Alberto Calvo. As I said, the owner and founder, along with my wife. Let me put this very clear, because it's being filmed. She's actually the force behind Stop and Compare. But we've been here since 1996, and as I will explain later on, we have other projects ongoing. En español. Alberto Calvo, soy propietario, fundador de Stop and Compare, de Compare, supermercado Compare, como lo conoce nuestra gente. Y mi señora es también la fundadora, y voy a hablar un poquitico de los proyectos que tenemos en planificación también más tarde. Gracias.
Hello, my name is Sergio Espinosa. I'm the founder of We Serve Safely. We are a food service consulting company. We specialize helping out new entrepreneurs in the food service business, getting a lot of the help that they would need to be able to open up a food service establishment, whether that be a market, a food truck, a food stall, wholesale. It's something that we've really found a niche and a passion for, to be able to help a lot of these food entrepreneurs navigate the logistics of opening up a business, and as well as the logistics of maybe coming from a food business, maybe in their home country, and transitioning over to the laws and regulations that we meet with here in the United States and in local government, honestly. Mi nombre es Sergio Espinosa, soy un consultor de negocios alimentarios, y nosotros especializamos en el diseño y construcción de restaurantes. También especializamos en la seguridad de comida, y para este proyecto nosotros estamos involucrados porque nuestra pasión en realidad es ayudar al emprendedor de alimentos a conseguir su sueño. En realidad esa es la meta, ¿no? Le ayudamos al negociante navegar la parte logística de bregar con la ciudad, y también la logística de tener su empresa y negocio aquí en este país o en la ciudad necesaria. Muchas gracias.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Nader Acevedo. Yo soy el vicepresidente ejecutivo del Instituto Hispanoamericano. Tenemos 3 oficinas en Boston, Nuevo México y en San Juan, Puerto Rico. En San Juan tenemos varios proyectos. Tenemos mucha habilidad en buscar fondos federales y estatales. Mi nombre es Nader Acevedo, soy... ¿Perdón? Oh, sí, que cambio. My name is Nader Acevedo. I am the Executive Vice President of the Hispanic American Institute. We have 3 offices, one in New Mexico, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and the office in Boston that I run with my friend Alberto Calvo. Nosotros tenemos muchas habilidades en recaudar fondos federales y estatales. We have very good abilities to raise funds from the federal government and the state, but also we work a lot with the private sector. Tenemos muy buenas habilidades de buscar dinero federal, estatal, pero también del sector privado. Mirando la programación, yo estaba viendo, lo mejor que yo he hecho quizás que en mi vida anterior era un banquero. Quizás, looking at the agenda, what I can bring to the table is that I had 25 years of experience as a banker. I stopped being a banker in 2000, and I know very well the communities. I was on the side of the communities and the side of the cities and towns also. So thank you, nice meeting you, and good evening.
Okay, well, I'll walk you through the retail experience. Here we go. The retail experience that we bring to this project. Essentially, we have a strong team, as you've seen the introduction. The pieces are in place. As Nader said, the Hispanic American Institute has developed community-based kitchens in New Mexico, part of funding from the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture. And also locally here, we have developed, the Institute has been successful in acquiring funds for technical assistance of small businesses. And recently, the Institute received funding from the state, Massachusetts Office for Business Development, and those funds are to help restaurants. As you know, restaurants have been impacted severely, and these funds will help them provide technical assistance, technology like online ordering services, et cetera. And so that's one piece of the team, the funding piece, right? The other piece in the retail experience is Sergio Espinosa. We have retained Sergio for a project I will talk about in a new project in Lynn Marketplace. We're opening a 12,000 square foot store there. This will be the 3rd store in Stop and Compare. And he's been very helpful for us as a retail operator to offer cooked meals, prepared foods. And then finally, Stop and Compare. We've been here in Chelsea for many years, over 25 years. The community has been outstanding in the acceptance of our store. Despite that little corner store that is Market Basket, I think it's in we've been able to thrive, and what we bring is the knowledge of the culture, Latino culture, and we cater to that differences, nuances that the Latinos have in their consumption of food. En español, and by the way, these are the accomplishments. I won't walk through them, but we have 3 stores. Hopefully we'll open this one in the fall, the new one. $10 million in grants that the Hispanic American Institute has obtained. 250 students taught by Sergio Espinosa, food safe serve for restaurants which are needed. 50,000 square foot of retail space that Tragworth and Company have developed in urban cities, and 20 plus locally owned retail businesses that Sergio has helped and that Tragworth and Companies have developed in the retail space, and 17 restaurants and markets that Sergio has helped. You want me to do this in Spanish, huh? Or español? Who here needs Spanish? Well, no, sorry, that's a bad question. Okay, online. Oh, the online, that's right. Okay, experiencia de al por menor, al negocio del por menor, ¿no? Ventas al por menor. Tenemos un equipo muy fuerte, equipo que consiste del Instituto Hispanoamericano, que es experto en solicitar y obtener fondos federales y estatales para desarrollar estos tipos de proyectos. Tenemos a Sergio Espinosa de We Serve Safely, un experto en restaurantes, ayudando a restaurantes latinos a poder crecer y establecerse en su oficio, ¿no? en su business. Y también tenemos, claro, a Tragworth Companies y el arquitecto que que tienen un proyecto y son profesionales en desarrollo de este tipo de proyectos en zonas urbanas, ¿no? Zonas urbanas de alta congestión y también de ciudadanía mixta, ¿no? de inmigrantes. Entonces, la lista aquí es tres tiendas que Stop and compare supermercado, compare. Tenemos, voy a hablar un poquitico de eso después. $10 millones ha recibido el Instituto Hispanoamericano. Como decía Nader, la especialidad varía. En New Mexico ellos recibieron fondos federales del U.S. Department of Agriculture para establecer una kitchen, una cocina comunitaria. Y ese proyecto ha sido exitoso, muy exitoso, y que atrae a pequeños empresarios a establecer sus restaurantes y sus comidas, ¿no? 250 son los números de estudiantes que Sergio Espinosa ha entrenado en Safe Surf, en salud pública, o sea, cuestiones de salud, seguridad de comida. El problema es que yo soy de los restaurantes, yo soy el consumidor. You need two guys, right? The consumer and the producer. I'm in the consumer side. So he's the expert. So 50,000 pies cuadrados de negocios, o sea, al por menor, ha sido desarrollado por Tragworth and Company. Esa es la experiencia de ellos. Y de ello, 20 negocios de al por menor, de detalle, ha sido desarrollado por ellos también. Y Sergio ha ayudado a 17 restaurantes y mercados, incluye el de nosotros, a poder establecer comida preparada. So what do I do now? Oh my God. Okay, pictures. I love pictures. I love pictures. Well, this one on the left, many of you have seen it. Compare, Supermercado Compare. That we started, my wife and I, with a lot of hesitancy, particularly because of that little corner project there called, what's the name? No, the market there, Market Basket, you know, that little, I forget the name. That one there, I mean, they weren't in that super humongous place, they were in a smaller one, but we were afraid, my wife and I. But we took the plunge, and from the first day that we opened the door, we said, bingo. The acceptance by the Hispanic community, Latino immigrant community in this has been tremendous. And that early years, a lot of struggle, but we have succeeded. And we also have been blessed by my daughter and her husband, who are now taking over the reins of the company. My wife and I are still owners, and they founded the first store in Lynn in 2005, and then now they're working in this beautiful store they're opening in Lynn Marketplace, the third store. So that's it. And then the picture there, you can see my daughter on the left next to me, and she is the CEO of the company. Her husband is the chief operating officer. He's the one that does the hard work. And then we have a numbers guy. You need a numbers guy, a treasurer, CFO, Guillermo Fernandez. And that trio has developed 3 stores. We employ near 80 people. The one in the New Lynn Marketplace is we're gonna hire around 50 others. Locally, the folks there in Chelsea are local people. And sales-wise, we've done tremendous. And it's been a success story. There we're receiving an award from the SBA, the Small Business Administration, 2013, on an event that the Institute did in Fenway Park. And we were awarded the Minority Business of New England at that time as the operation. And then on the lower, the picture there is one of the projects, right? That you've Javason, they're here. Javason, están aquí, ¿no? Sí, ya, Javason, están aquí. Es un proyecto de Sergio Espinosa y, en fin. Esa es la experiencia que tenemos. Very good. Okay. Ese. ¿Eh? Oh, we have to go forward. Okay. Gracias.
Okay.
Housing experience.
Can someone translate for me?
Yeah. You want to translate?
I'm gonna move very quickly through this so we can get to the part you want to see, which is about this project. But a couple of Chelsea projects. I started working in Chelsea about 13 years ago.
Unos cuantos proyectos atrás, él empezó a trabajar este proyecto hace
13.
13 proyectos atrás. 13 años atrás.
With the Box District. And our latest project is 1005 Broadway at the corner of Clinton and Broadway, which just started construction.
Y el último proyecto ahorita va a ser 1005 Broadway.
There we will have 38 income restricted units that will be opening next year. 38.
Aquí va a haber 38 unidades que van a tener restricciones de ingresos. Entonces,
the Box District I started working on 13 years ago, developing 149 mixed income apartments and working with the city and the state to create the Silver Line extension as well.
Esto va a ser uno de los proyectos que está en el Box District, donde tenían 149 diferentes tipos de apartamentos y recién se va a abrir.
In addition, we've done a lot of for sale, affordable, so condominiums for sale. One that we did was Mosaic on the Riverway, which had both condominiums and apartments, income restricted.
Este es un ejemplo de uno de los apartamentos que tiene combinado para apartamentos para rentar y también para rentar. Entonces este sería uno de los proyectos similar a eso, que tenía la opción para rentar y también para comprar.
And a Place Taylor project by Andres in Dorchester, 29 income restricted units as well.
Y esto va a ser un proyecto que fue diseñado por Andrés, el arquitecto, que está en la 1463 de la Dot Ave.
So we have many other projects, but we come to the table with a lot of experience in income restricted housing, urban retail, and that's why we are really excited about this project.
Y queríamos demostrar estos proyectos para demostrar que tenemos mucha experiencia en la área de trabajar con unidades que son flexibles para de ingresos bajos y también con diferentes locales que tienen para renta y también para comprar.
So when we looked at this site and read the request for proposals, we really took to heart what the city was asking us to do.
Cuando primero empezamos a proponer esta propuesta, nosotros realmente queríamos pensar en qué podíamos ofrecer a la ciudad de Chelsea.
And we read that to be affordable homes to current Chelsea residents, building equity, opportunities to build equity, an opportunity to revitalize an important parcel along Broadway, and support for small businesses.
Y las cosas que queríamos asegurarnos que teníamos en nuestra propuesta y cosas que iba a necesitar Chelsea, iba a ser casas que no sean tan caros. También sea una área donde pueda crear un tipo de... que pueda apoyar los negocios pequeños y también tomar una área que se pueda remodelar para, obviamente, tener una mejor apariencia.
And I'm going to hand it off to Andres, who's going to take us through the architectural presentation.
Y ahora va a venir Andrés, que nos va a explicar la parte de arquitectura.
Easier to do this? Yes, okay. Hi. So, yeah, let me just let's just start by giving you sort of the overall stroke, overall data for the project, and then we're going to go into the project and kind of tell you what we're thinking. Although it's been it's a preliminary scheme right now, but you know, we'll go through that. Entonces voy a comenzar hablando de los rasgos mayores del proyecto con la información y después vamos a hablar del diseño del proyecto, aunque en este momento es preliminar, pero podemos comenzar a hablar del diseño y de lo que estamos intentando crear con el edificio. So the total project investment is going to be as you can see, 15.5 million. This is, you know, for a compact urban site. We are also expecting to have 20 parking spaces. We are looking at 21 units of new income restricted homes. We're looking at 5 stories, a 5-story building in height. And we're looking at about 4,000, give or take, square feet for retail. Estamos mirando a un proyecto de 15.5 millones en inversiones para el proyecto en general. Estaríamos mirando también a 20 parqueaderos para el edificio. Serían 28 unidades de interés social. Hay diferentes términos dependiendo de dónde estemos en Latinoamérica, colombiano. Y para el edificio estamos mirando a una altura de 5 pisos para el edificio y el área en general para la parte del retail sería 4,000, más o menos, aproximadamente 4,000 pies cuadrados. From the sustainability aspect, I think Dave Dragor's Dragor companies have already been working, on Broadway to achieve something that is called Passive House certification, which means high energy efficiency. And that's something that we focus with Placetailor. We've been doing this for over 10 years. So we feel really comfortable doing this type of work, and we would like to continue this. This usually means that the savings, as you can see here, are around 90% savings on energy efficiency. We do this through a number of things. Primarily, you can see to the bottom right, the increased thermal performance of the building envelope. We focus on that and make sure that there is no thermal bridging, and also we like to pair that up as much as possible with solar PV panels on the roof, if possible, which can get us pretty close to net zero in some of the projects. Other big things that are important for the health of the units and the folks that are going to be in the units is low VOC, paints and materials that, and also water conservation in terms of the types of fixtures that we used and spec for the project. And now in Spanish. Desde el aspecto de sostenibilidad, Tragworth Companies ya ha trabajado en un proyecto en el que está comenzando construcción y que están adquiriendo un certificado de un sistema que se llama Passive House, que básicamente se enfoca en bajar el uso de energía en las unidades residenciales. Sistema o certificado que están usando es algo que nosotros en nuestra firma de arquitectura hemos estado haciendo por más de 10 años. Nos sentimos muy bien, ese es nuestro enfoque en el tipo de edificios. Y para este proyecto continuaremos. Esto significa que el proyecto en general va a reducir el uso de energía por el 90%. Y esto lo podemos crear básicamente con por los muros exteriores del edificio, que los diseñamos para que no haya transferencia de temperaturas. También usamos paneles solares normalmente en el techo para bajar también el uso de energía y a veces bajar los edificios a que sean cero uso de carbón en los edificios. Además, usamos plomería que use menos agua para ahorrar agua. Y los tipos de materiales que usamos usan bajos VOCs para mejorar la calidad del aire que se respira en las unidades. This is really hard. Live translation. Okay. So let's get into the design of the building. So we're primarily looking to do sort of a contextual building. And sort of trying to animate it from that point. That's sort of like our goal from the beginning. So we started, of course, just walking around, looking at the neighborhood, walking up Broadway, and sort of just try to understand what it is, and trying to take cues from the context to take into this new proposal. We're not trying to particularly just take some of these cues and kind of replicate them, but just take some of these ideas and develop them into something new that it will be exciting as a new exciting project for the neighborhood. So essentially what we did is we looked at 3 different ideas, as you can see here. We noticed that there's a pretty good, sort of call it a strong line of cornices at 3 stories. So we noticed that even some of the buildings that might be taller, there still is sort of a cornice line at 3 stories. So we looked at that and we thought that would be a good idea to introduce into our project. We also recognized that there's pretty amazing views of the Tobin Bridge, so we wanted to utilize those and try to bring them into the project. And we also wanted to animate it. As you look at the street elevation, you see that it crenulates, it goes up and down quite a bit, and it's very interesting and articulated. So we wanted to replicate that in our design. Para nuestro diseño comenzamos con la idea de contextualizar el diseño. Hicimos esto básicamente pensando en tres diferentes ideas. Comenzamos caminando, entendiendo la fábrica urbana en la que estamos y en Broadway, Y una de las partes que reconocimos es que hay una línea en las cornisas a tres, básicamente como en el tercer piso, y queríamos reconocer eso y usarlo en nuestro diseño. Entonces eso fue como el primer paso que tuvimos en términos de ideas. El segundo fue las viviendas, las vistas que tienen del puente, y queríamos usar eso para poder adicionar y crear interés arquitectónico en el proyecto. Y la última es que notamos que Broadway tiene muchos las alturas de los edificios suben y bajan, y muchas veces en el mismo edificio suben y bajan también, y queríamos usar esa idea para replicar algo parecido en nuestra propuesta en el diseño arquitectónico del edificio. So this is roughly what this is the scheme that we came up with, and as you can see, we're trying to do. Well, hopefully you can see. We try to use those three ideas to bring them into this artistic rendering. You see that there's a three-story line of brick, and that's sort of trying to recognize the cornice lines that you may not see in this image, but if you, I'm sure you're very familiar with the area, but if you were to turn around and go up and down, you would notice that. You see it a little bit down the street. Then the top of the building, we started, instead of continuing it flat, we decided to start shifting the walls ever so slightly just to take advantage of the amazing views of the Tobin Bridge and roughly just up and down Broadway. And lastly, as opposed to just sort of keeping a very straight line of the cornice, we try to sort of pay homage to the sort of like crenellation and the up and down of the buildings. So decided to break that sort of three-story cornice and be a little bit more playful with the expression of the building. Entonces, y ese es el diseño como en el momento como está. Tratamos de usar las tres ideas que mencioné anteriormente. Usamos los tres pisos como una línea que existe en Broadway. La parte de arriba del edificio la movimos para utilizar las vistas del puente y crear vistas que de pronto no existirían si los muros van derechos. Y lo último fue que en vez de dejar la línea de la cornisa a los tres pisos, decidimos quebrarla para poder adicionar interés arquitectónico y también trabajar con el mismo lenguaje que hay en la calle en Broadway, en la avenida. Okay, so going into the floor plans to try to understand the building, I'm going to try to go faster. Please let me know if I'm going too slow. So this is the first floor. What you can see down at the bottom is Broadway, and this is how we're looking at organizing it, where the retail space or Plaza de las Americas would be taking the majority of the first floor space, and then to the right we would be looking at the residential lobby entry. We're trying to organize it as efficiently as possible for the residential entry. As you can see, we have, hopefully, we have an elevator. It's an elevator building. We would need two means of egress, so we have two stairs and trash room. So to the right, you see that's essentially the residential portion. The Plaza de las Americas, I think we'll go a little bit deeper in a minute, but you can see we're trying to, of course, activate Broadway as much as possible. So a lot of the tenant spaces are facing Broadway. But we also recognize that towards the back there is a great possibility of creating some activation and some nice interaction. So we decided to introduce an outdoor terrace, a possible outdoor terrace. As I understand, there's a farmer's market that happens, so we thought that would be a really interesting way of sort of creating another connection that may not exist right now. Este es la planta principal del edificio, es en el primer piso, está organizada básicamente en dos porciones. A la izquierda está la Plaza de las Américas, en la cual en un momento Sergio hablará un poco más, y a la derecha está la entrada principal residencial. Está organizada lo más eficiente posible y es un edificio con ascensor, y tiene obviamente dos escaleras para egresar a salvo. So now this is the floor plan. This is what we're calling the parking level floor plan. So one thing that is important to recognize, Broadway still is at the bottom of the screen, and then Cherry Street, which is at the top of the screen, that there is a significant grade change from Broadway to Cherry Street. So we're trying to take advantage of that, and it's essentially almost a full level down. So we are looking at introducing our parking entrance through Cherry Street. You can see we located about 20 parking spaces, and also from the Cherry Street side, we think that some of the loading and some of the sort of technical requirements for the restaurants would be occurring. And then again, Sergio can dig into it a little bit more or if you have questions, we can talk about it more. Este es la planta del parqueadero. Algo importante de entender en esta planta es que hay una diferencia básicamente de un piso entre Broadway y la calle Cherry Street. Y lo que estamos tratando de hacer es que la entrada del parqueadero quede por Cherry Street, que básicamente, como dije, es un piso bajo. Acomodamos 20 parqueaderos y al mismo tiempo estamos usando esa área para proveer necesidades que los restaurantes tengan en la planta principal. This is the typical residential floor as it's laid out right now. We are looking at a mix of units from 3 bedrooms to a studio. Like I mentioned before, we try to be as efficient as possible with the layout of the units, creating and also creating enough perimeter to add sort of sufficient and really good natural light to all of these units. This is a typical residential floor, meaning this would start on the 2nd floor to the 5th floor, would be very similar in terms of the layout. It's not developed a lot to a greater detail, but these are sort of the areas that and sizes of units that you would see. Esta es la planta típica residencial del proyecto. Tiene una variación entre 3 cuartos a unidades de estudio. Básicamente se repite desde el segundo hasta el 5º piso y está organizada en cierta manera para ser lo más eficiente posible y proveer luz natural a todas las unidades.
All right, well, thank you, Andres, and thank you for being able to translate. I appreciate it. I'm going to speak for a moment about the homes that we're building upstairs, the makeup of them, and the income restrictions.
Entonces ahorita vamos a hablar sobre las casas que se van a construir arriba y las cosas específicas de cómo se va a romper la parte que se va a rentar y las áreas que se va a comprar.
So overall, we are planning 28 units. As Andre said, a mix of studios, 1s, 2s, and 3s, which will be broken up broadly into 2 categories: home ownership, where we're planning 10 units, and rental, where we're planning 18 units.
Entonces aquí vamos a tener un total de 28 casas, vamos a tener unos 10 que van a ser reservados para personas de bajo ingreso y también vamos a tener el resto de las casas para compra.
Within the rental units, we have different levels of affordability. We plan on having 8 units available to households earning less than 30% AMI, 5 for households earning less than 50% AMI, and 5 also for households earning less than 60%.
Aquí tenemos la estadística de cómo va a ser repartido. Entonces, las personas que, específicamente, personas que están haciendo menos de 30% va a ser 8 casas, personas que están haciendo menos de 50% va a ser 5 casas disponibles para ellos.
And just a quick note on what AMI means to people outside of this lingo. We're talking about area median income. So it is a percentage of what the median household makes within the greater Boston area.
Y lo que significa AMI es lo promedio que hace una casa anualmente. Entonces, todos los que viven en la casa.
And then the remaining 10 units will be for sale condos. Those will be restricted to households earning less than 80% area median income. And they will be sold at a discounted price range anywhere from $195,000 to $285,000.
Y de los 28 van a ser 18 que van a ser para renta y después van a ser 10 que van a ser reservados específicamente para personas que hacen menos del 80% de la AMI y el precio va a ser promedio de $195,000 a $285,000.
So overall, we tried to respond to the RFP's request for both rental and home ownership and various levels of affordability so that as many members of the Chelsea community can afford to live in this new housing.
La forma como hemos tratado de complacer los requisitos de la propuesta es tratar de combinar un poco de la parte donde estamos ofreciendo casas para rentar, pero también dando la oportunidad a la comunidad para que puedan tener la oportunidad de comprar esta propiedad. Y la propiedad va a ser una mezcla de estudios, 1, 2 y up to 3 bedrooms.
Yes.
Hasta 3 cuartos por cada apartamento.
And off to you.
Oh. Ok, mi nombre es Sergio Espinosa y ahorita vamos a hablar sobre la Plaza de las Américas. Entonces, nosotros creamos esta idea básicamente sabiendo y entendiendo la necesidad de la comunidad. Nosotros básicamente estábamos pensando cómo podemos hacer un negocio que puede dar un impacto importante a la comunidad, pero al mismo tiempo dar la oportunidad a muchas de las personas tener ese sueño de tener su propio negocio. Yo, como consultor de negocios alimentarios, todos mis clientes, el sueño es tener su restaurante. Yo sé qué difícil es tener un restaurante y logísticamente es difícil, pero la parte más difícil y la razón por qué muchos de mis clientes, especialmente los que recién están empezando, no pueden hacerlo es por las razones de la financia. Es súper caro tener un restaurante, extremadamente. Típicamente nosotros tenemos que empezar con un mínimo de $150,000 y no es plata pequeña. Entonces nosotros queríamos tener un área que sea disponible para la comunidad, donde pueden rentar espacios, básicamente compartir la mayoría de los gastos, pagar una renta, tener la oportunidad de empezar pequeño, sea por hora, Como Andrés estaba diciendo, tenemos un área atrás en el diseño que va a ser una cocina comunitaria. Después tenemos diferentes espacios pequeños donde cada negocio puede tener su espacio para poder crecer su negocio. Y por supuesto, como tenemos esa terraza por atrás, ahí el negocio también puede vender su comida ya preparada y venderlo como comida para llevar, y el cliente lo puede comer afuera. Una forma como ayudar al emprendedor en pensar su negocio, a ver qué tipo de negocio quiere tener, a ver si incluso le va bien con el negocio, y al mismo tiempo tener la flexibilidad de empezar pequeño y poco a poco crecer, y la meta sería para la ciudad de Chelsea que puedan crecer su negocio aquí mismo en esta ciudad, tener un restaurante completo, pero ya tener negocio 1 año, 2 años. So Plaza de las Américas is a project that we have been working on a long time. It's something that's always been in the back of our head. We wanted to ask ourselves the question as to what did the community really need? So me being a food service consultant, I deal with people whose dream is to open up a restaurant. There's always one issue. The biggest issue is always the finances. It's too expensive to do a build out for a restaurant. Even if you get an old restaurant, it costs a fortune to be able to get in there. Most of the time, we need at least a minimum of $150,000 to be able to get into a restaurant that's already been built. It's just an old restaurant. So when it comes to that level of money, we wanted to offer a cheaper option. There's already a couple concepts that already exist. There's one in Lawrence. There's another one in Malden. There's one in Danvers. There's another one in Dorchester. And it's a shared kitchen. It's a kitchen where we can split the cost. We have individual tenants, which you saw in the presentation where Andres had different tenants on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side in the front. And then we have an area in the back, which is a shared kitchen, which we would open to, obviously, the tenants as well, but also be able to offer it on an hourly basis. A way for entrepreneurs, food entrepreneurs, to be able to get their feet wet and to be able to, at a low cost, test out and see if it's the business they want to do, see if they have the clientele, see if they're able to actually develop a business. And when they're ready financially and with the experience, they can go out and spend the money, have the capital, have the exposure to the banks so that they are able to build a brick and mortar restaurant. And hopefully the goal would be, and the benefit to the city of Chelsea for supporting a project like this would be so that they would be able to do it here in Chelsea, where so many people want to open up a business but just don't have the access and the resources to be able to do this. This would be a great stepping stone, and that's why we wanted to call it Plaza de las Américas, an area where we can come together as a community to be able to offer what many people hope of doing, which is having the dream of opening up their own food business. And one thing I would like to note, right now, I'm sure many of us know somebody that cooks from their home. It's happening already. We just need a place to be able to do it legally. Una cosa que quería mencionar, yo sé que muchos de nosotros ya sabemos una persona que cocina en la casa. Está pasando de todas maneras. Hay que dar la oportunidad a las personas para que lo puedan hacer legalmente. No debe ser una cosa que nos debe afectar. Yo sé que es un negocio que está pasando y queremos tener la oportunidad para tener este negocio legalmente, y esto nos da la oportunidad para hacerlo en un costo bien bajo. Okay, next one. Gracias. Okay. Estos serían unas cuantos los proyectos que nosotros hemos hecho. Como está diciendo, nosotros hacemos proyectos solamente de negocios alimentarios, entonces puede ser una bodega, como estamos viendo en esta área de aquí, o también un restaurante. Y también esto es una foto de una cocina comunitaria que está en la ciudad de Danvers. Entonces, esto es básicamente un concepto que queremos traer a esta comunidad. These are 3 pictures. One of them, which is going to be a market that we did. This used to be a vacuum shop. So to do this full remodel, just this remodel alone was about $200,000. So the level of money that gets put into a bodega is an astronomical amount. Over here as well, which is something that is very common here, food that's already prepared. It's very common here, especially within the Latino community. This is another project here. Just the remodel for the benches and the floors was about $70,000. And it's extremely expensive having to buy equipment. And then, of course, I wanted to put this in here. This is actually a location out in Danvers. This is a shared kitchen. This is a completely open area with different tenants having about an 8-foot by 8-foot space, and they have a community area where you're able to share an oven, share a fryer later, share the space with people that are, either selling items to go, or right now what's something that's trending is wholesale, okay? The ability to be able to sell your food to other markets, like a Stop and Compare, and be able to put your food on the shelf. Este espacio también no solamente es para comida que estamos vendiendo directamente al consumidor, pero también aquí hemos puesto un negocio de venta al por mayor. Entonces, la habilidad de hacer un producto y venderlo a un mercado como Compare, para que ellos lo puedan vender en su mercado. Entonces, esto nos da la flexibilidad de hacer muchos diferentes negocios específicamente en el mundo de los alimentos. Ok, entonces unas cuantas partes que queríamos mencionar va a ser la basura. Típicamente es una pregunta que muchas personas nos preguntan. ¿Dónde vamos a poner la basura? En este caso nosotros vamos a tener la basura adentro, internamente, pero obviamente en un espacio refrigerado. ¿Por qué refrigerado? Para mantener el crecimiento de la bacteria abajo. Okay, es algo que es bien común en áreas que es bien que realmente no hay un espacio afuera donde podamos tener la basura. So the first thing is going to be the trash. Usually the main question that we're usually asked, what are you going to do with all the trash that a restaurant or a full service kitchen produces? We're going to be putting the trash in the refrigerator. The main reason for that is to keep the growth of bacteria, which causes the smells to be a lot lower. Of course, this is something that happens very often. There's a couple places in Boston do it. New York does it all the time, especially with large restaurants. The garbage just goes in a refrigerator, not the same refrigerator where we keep the food. It's a completely separate one. Yeah, quiero mencionar que no es el mismo refrigerador donde mantenemos la comida. Es un refrigerador completamente diferente. Deliveries. So one of the things that we wanted to make sure is deliveries tends to be logistically sometimes really difficult, especially on a main street like this one. And our deliveries would be coming along Cherry Street. So on Cherry Street, we would be getting delivery trucks. Typically, it's going to be an 18-wheeler, and we wanted to leave an area where we would be able to easily load and unload deliveries. La segunda parte va a ser las entregas. Queremos tener una área atrás en la calle Cherry donde vamos a poder recibir todas las entregas necesarias y no causar una línea de tráfico en esta calle central. Okay. Y la tercera cosa va a ser el olor. A todos les gusta oler la comida, pero el que está oliendo todos los días no es algo bonito. Entonces queríamos asegurarnos que todo el olor, todo el vapor de la comida se va a estar tirando hasta el techo. Entonces, como nosotros vamos a estar 5 pisos arriba, vamos a estar básicamente más alto que todos los demás. Entonces, si tú tienes un negocio a la izquierda, a la derecha, no te tienes que preocupar de los vapores y los olores y los aceites que te estén dañando las ventanas o en realidad causando un mal olor. The third thing is going to be the exhaust. Another big question. What are we going to do with all the steam and all the oils and the fats and the smell? It's nice to smell food once in a while, but when you're smelling it every day, it gets a little overwhelming. So we are going to be throwing all of the exhaust all the way up to the roof, obviously to reduce that level of impact. Okay.
All right, last slide. And then questions. Last slide and then questions. So we have tonight this community meeting. We're eager to hear your thoughts, comments, questions.
Sí, tenemos esta reunión de la comunidad para recibir sus comentarios sobre el proyecto.
And then we would hope that the City Council will take this up and award our team the project, at which point then we would begin the permitting process.
Sí. Entonces esperamos que el proyecto sea aceptado por los concejales, el City Council, y entonces para empezar la planificación detallada del proyecto.
And part of the planning process would be more community meetings and going through the formal process of a project. The reason we're here tonight is that the city owns this parcel and has to decide whether to essentially sell it to us or not. That's the first step.
Sí, la razón de por qué estamos aquí es que la propiedad, el sitio, el dueño es la ciudad y entonces la decisión que tiene que tener la ciudad es si nos lo vende al equipo para desarrollar este proyecto o no.
And then we would apply for financing for the affordable housing portions, as well as some of the grants that we talked about with the retail.
Y entonces, después de ese proceso de permisos y tal, tenemos buscar el financiamiento no solo del edificio, pero también de los proyectos que hemos mencionado de fondos federales y estatales que el Instituto Hispanoamericano nos ayudará a adquirir.
And then we could start construction.
Y
And
empezamos
about,
construcción al final de 2023.
we would hope to be able to move that up and do it faster, but the financing is really what drives the timeline. But hopefully, with some of the resources that are coming out through the CARES Act and others, we would be able to move this up. But this is a realistic timeline, so it will take a while.
Va a tomar un poco de tiempo. Lo principal en este tipo de proyectos de affordable housing, de viviendas restringidas, es el financiamiento. Y aunque el gobierno federal ahora con el CARES Act y al Estado está recibiendo fondos federales, esperemos apresurar un poco el proyecto, claro, si el Consejo nos lo permite y nos lo otorga. Gracias. Y ahora empezamos preguntas y respuestas. Hey. Yes.
I think we just have to
Oh,
remember.
sorry.
No, that's fine. So if you could just come up and speak at the microphone so people who are listening at home can hear you. And then we're also just going to need to remember translating too. Thank you for your patience.
Good evening. I'm Rick Gordon. I actually own Allen's Curry, which is the longest continuing retail store in the city. In fact, my father, when he first started in the late 30s, early 40s, was in where that building is. It used to be a market. There was a fire in the I think in mid or late 40s, and then it went through a couple. Yes. Allen's. Yeah.
Que es el más viejo programa de ventas acá en Chelsea, y mi padre lo empezó hace 40 años.
80 años.
80 años.
Yeah. Couple questions. As far as the food service, unless I read the plans wrong, there's no seating inside, unless it's going to be for takeout?
Pregunta si hay asientos adentro de los lugares de servicio de comida, o solamente es para pedir llevar a la casa.
Sí, es solamente para llevar a la casa. Entonces, well, I'll answer in English. The main thing is going to be we want to go with, we don't have an infinite amount of space, so we're trying to use the space for what right now most people are going to be able to do. So we do have the outside terrace, which would be seating optional. Think of it kind of like a cafeteria. You order your food, you go towards the back, and you can have the option to sit down. For the most part, a lot of the food that is sold and served is takeout. That's been an ongoing trend for a very long time either way.
Espacio va a ser casi todo para pedir y llevárselo. Va a haber hay como un patio.
Sí.
Solamente va a poder tener el lugar para sentarse, pero como hay espacio restringido, va a ser casi todo para pedir y llevar.
Sí, porque ahorita ese negocio es lo que está creciendo. Entonces nosotros queremos tener un poquito la opción para que personas puedan sentarse a comer, pero definitivamente queremos tener la oportunidad para que personas puedan vender a venta al por mayor o vender su comida para llevar, que es súper común, o si el cliente quiere la opción, se puede sentar. So we do want to give the three options as well. So we have the popular option, which is going to be takeout food. Another one's going to be wholesale. No seats for that. And the last one's going to be if we want to give the person the option, they can have a seat out in the terrace.
Okay. Just my gut reaction, and first time I actually saw it in detail. This building's like sort of like a third way in the block. You're putting up a 5-story building. Eventually, the buildings on either side may want to do some development. And I believe one of the associates owns the McDonald's, where McDonald's is, on the corner, I forget the number, 460 or whatever the number is. Why not make a bold move, take that building, I know you don't own the building where the dollar store is and the Chinese restaurant is, put enough zeros after the decimal, before the decimal point, and at least do a bigger project, because this is going to stick out like a sore thumb. I mean, I own 2,200 square feet halfway down the block, and that's what I was thinking. Eventually, someone would come in and buy, you know, a major chunk and then develop it. To me, it just looks. I mean, it's a very interesting project. It looks good. The plans are good, but to me, it's going to look out of place. So that's my gut reaction.
Do you want to translate that?
Yeah.
Distinto es que se ve como fuera de lugar este edificio, porque hay edificios adyacentes, es a McDonald's, a Chinese restaurant.
Well, they own where the
Yeah.
McDonald's is, I believe.
466 Broadway.
Yeah.
Yeah. We own that. Yeah.
¿Por qué no aumentar los fondos y comprar más terreno, hacerlo agrandarlo, hacerlo más grande todavía, en vez de estar saliendo como fuera de lugar?
You could put in some more parking, whatever, just to.
So,
I mean, I love spending other people's money.
no, you are not the first person to think of that idea, and it's a good idea. The issue that we have is that we have to work within the properties that we control, and we have done our best, but what we control is what you see here at 440 Broadway and 466 Broadway. We would love to figure out how to get that middle piece under control, but it just has not come to fruition in the way we want to. So.
That would have been further development where the market is, where the pizza places.
That's the building I'm talking about that is not owned by us or the city. We own the building at 466 Broadway, which is McDonald's and Chelsea Bargain's basement.
Las áreas que le pertenecen son 4060 de Broadway, 46th Street, y
466.
466.
Yep.
And 44.
This is 440 Broadway.
Yeah.
The one on the corner is 466 Broadway. The one in the middle, we don't own.
El
Yeah.
medio no
Yeah.
pertenece, solamente 4066 y 4040, no el del medio, no el de esos.
Yep, that's right. So we can only work with what we have. It's a good point, and
Ojalá que lo pensado ya y con un buen punto de vista, pero podemos solo trabajar con lo que nosotros, lo que nos pertenece a nosotros.
are there other questions? Yep.
Muy buenas noches. Mi nombre es Freddy Sanán, yo vivo en la 155 de la Pear Street en Chelsea. Tengo 20 años pagando renta y se ven muy bonitos los proyectos que están en los planes, pero tengo una pregunta. La pregunta mía es, ¿cuáles van a ser los requisitos para que nosotros, los que vivimos en Chelsea, podemos quedarnos aquí, que no vengan otra gente de otros lugares a meterse, ¿me entiende? Porque la ciudad de Chelsea, ustedes saben de que vive mucha gente, paga renta, y entonces la pregunta mía es cuáles son los requisitos para que nosotros nos podemos, o sea, ser dueños de un apartamento de esos.
I've been living here for 20 years, paying my rent for 20 years. My name is Freddie. I live on, ¿qué calle dijo?
La 155 de la Pear Street en Chelsea.
51 Pearl Street in Chelsea. My concern is what are the requirements for us to be able to have access to this property? Because then it could be the case that people from other communities would move in and take control
this a construction work or just general, like resident, like who can live here, or is this who can build, or both?
No, no, no. Los para vivir. Sí, para vivir.
Yeah, I saw the masonry, so I figured.
No, yo trabajo en la construcción.
We will need a mason. There is something called local preference. So there will be a very, very big demand for these units, for people to live here. And so what has to happen then, because the demand is more than the supply, is that we have to run a lottery. So people will apply. They will be put into a lottery. The good news is that in that lottery, Chelsea residents will have a preference. So they'll sort of have the first shot if the state allows that to happen, which we would expect that they would.
La demanda va a ser mucho más de lo que hay disponible. Entonces van a tener que hacer una preferencia local y van a hacer una lotería en la cual los residentes de Chelsea van a tener prioridad.
So it's the same process that many other projects that have been built with income-restricted units have to go through. And it's the same process for rental and for home ownership if there are more applicants than actual homes.
Es el mismo proceso que se utiliza en otras comunidades con gente con restricción de ingresos y funciona para los dueños de casas, para comprar casas o para alquilar.
Okay, sí. Era lo que quería saber, ¿me entiendes? Porque yo 20 años pagando renta, yo quisiera ser dueño de un apartamento de esos que se ve muy bonito, ¿me entiendes?
Yeah, I wanted to know that because I've been paying rent for 20 years. I'd love to own.
Yeah.
They look beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We would love you too. Are there other questions? Yep.
Hello, everyone. My name is Natalia Restrepo, and I work for La Colaborativa. My job and the rest of my team's job here is, well, we bring the necessities and the information to our office. And we've knocked 8,000 doors in the last 3 months.
So my name is Natalia Restrepo, and I work here for the Collaborative. And we have been knocking on 8,000 doors in the last 3 months.
Yes, brindando la información de las necesidades de la comunidad. One of the biggest necessities that we come across is housing, especially affordable housing. So my thing here is, my question was, so it's 8 families for affordable housing, correct? No? 10.
No, so there's 10 affordable home ownership units.
Home ownership.
Yep.
Hay 10 casas que pueden, disponibles para la venta.
Okay, esa es la pregunta. So it was 10 for affordable home ownership. And then for renting,
Y para alquiler,
there's no,
18 affordable rental units.
y 18 unidades para alquiler para gente con ingresos restringidos.
Every unit built will be restricted. There are no market units.
Todas las unidades que se construyen van a ser para ingresos restringidos. Los precios no van a ser al valor del mercado. Va a ser bajo el mercado.
and this is also going to be in a lottery, or?
The only case where there wouldn't be a lottery is if there are fewer applicants than homes. which is never going to happen. So yes, there will be a lottery.
Habría solo una lotería si hubiesen menos aplicantes que casas disponibles, pero eso nunca va a pasar, así que sí va a haber una lotería.
Okay. Thank you so much. And it seems like a really good project. I'm just, I hope that the residents of Chelsea that are struggling today and have been waiting for, some type of affordable housing, get the chance to actually
Yep.
be involved. And how can La Colaborativa get involved and help with this?
Yeah, we would love to have you.
So we'll talk to you after.
Parece un proyecto muy lindo y yo quiero que la gente que estuvo lidiando para poder pagar la vivienda acá en Chelsea tenga un alivio y espero que esto funcione. Y quiero saber cómo la colaborativa puede ayudar con este proyecto.
Yes. Correct. Correct. So we will need, as Tom is making me aware and reminding me, we'll need zoning variances, so we will need community support. And I think, one of the hard things about this is these projects take so long, and the needs are so urgent. And so I want to put in a plug for our 1005 Broadway project, which is 38 units of affordable rental housing coming online next year. And so please contact the neighborhood developers if you want to just put your name on the mailing list for that. Those will be happening much sooner than the project we're talking about tonight. But to be honest, we started thinking about 1005 Broadway 10 years ago. So it takes a while to make these things happen, but the good news is that one's coming online next year. So.
Parece que, correct me, I want to,
Yeah.
if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
correct me. There's already affordable housing in 10, what's the address again?
1005 Broadway.
1005 Broadway already available to...
Under construction.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Under construction already.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this new project, it takes a long time for it to be
Yep.
built, but people can start applying for 1005 Broadway now.
Yep. Great. Other questions?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon to you all. My name is Dario Camacho. I work with La Colaborativa too. And yes, well, my team is here. We are working like door knocking here in Chelsea. We are aware that our city is very crowded. We have a population over 50,000 of the books, of course, of the records. And I guess, we believe that these kind of projects will help the community, of course. But as we can see, 28 as a total is just a little for over 50,000 people. So we were wondering about these 10 units that is for sale. Hopefully we can get a little more. That's what I'm thinking, because the city is getting, the property. So we believe that maybe we can just haggle the number. I understand 28 is just a little, but maybe having a little more for the community will be very, very appreciated. So lo que estoy diciendo, buenas tardes a todos, es que entendemos que esta clase de proyectos en la ciudad de Chelsea, que es una ciudad de más de 50,000 personas, mal contadas, es muy interesante y va a beneficiar a la comunidad. Sin embargo, solo son 28 unidades las que estamos hablando, de las cuales solo 10 en una ciudad de más de 50,000 va a ser muy poquito para nuestra comunidad. Y en el caso como de Freddy Sanán, que lleva pagando renta más de 15 años, más de casi 20 años en la ciudad, es muy difícil para alguien como él acceder a un proyecto como estos. Le ha tocado aguantarse landlords que le impone condiciones de vivienda donde hay unas situaciones de violaciones del código que tiene que soportar, y muchas veces por el hecho de ser un inmigrante no tiene acceso fácil a la información de cómo poder aplicar a los programas del gobierno y no únicamente en su caso, sino en el de muchos. Seguramente también por el hecho de ser indocumentados. So we understand that, that for many people in our communities, very difficult to apply for this lotteries, as you said. Maybe they need to have the legal, status here in the United States. But as we know, we are aware that we have like a lot of population in our city that they don't have the status. So they are out of this, this lottery. We wondering that maybe we can just try to figure out with the city some other projects. We understand that we have to do it like with the city councilors that are not here today, but we really appreciate if we think a little more for 10 units, like for 12. Les agradecemos si pueden pensar en aumentar un poquito las unidades, sabemos que son muy pocas, para darle oportunidad más a nuestra gente de la comunidad. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks. And we can continue the conversation. A lot of it has to do with how the financing comes in, but we can certainly keep having this conversation and about the splits and why they are what they are. So, other questions? Oh, did you want? Other questions?
Hello, my name's Johnny. I just had a question. So 10 of the units are being set aside as affordable home ownership opportunities. I was just wondering if those 10 units have already been designated, whether they're going to be 3 of them are 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms. And I ask because I guess the population of the city, some families live in multi-generational households, and that means larger people living in or larger households living in sort of smaller houses. La pregunta que tengo yo es si han designado los apartamentos que serían asequibles, o sea, si serían como unos 2 apartamentos de 2 cuartos o 3 de 3 cuartos, y solo quería preguntar eso.
So, it's a mix of 1s, 2s, and 3s that are home ownership. We're not reserving all of one size for home ownership. It's a mix.
Es una mezcla de 1, 2 o 3 habitaciones, departamentos con 1, 2 o 3 habitaciones. No reservamos uno de por sí.
So is that, there'll be some family size units, 3 bedrooms, and there'll be some 1-bedroom units for a single or a couple.
Algunas unidades para tamaño familiar y otras unidades de una sola habitación más pequeñas.
But I think we can also continue that conversation as we dig into the details. I don't know if our full proposal is online, but there's a lot more detail in our proposal to dig into some of the budgets and details, and hopefully that's available.
Hay más información sobre esto en línea, sobre los detalles del número de habitaciones y de los detalles financieros. No sé si está toda nuestra propuesta ya establecida en línea, pero hay más información.
Does that answer your question?
Kind of. I guess
Okay.
I was trying to figure out if you guys had defined which apartments would be restricted for home ownership. So
Not exactly like which apartments in the building, but we've said, and I apologize, I don't have it. I probably have it on my computer, but I'll follow up with you after this, and we could give you the exact breakdown of how many 3 bedrooms are home ownership, how many are 2 bedrooms, and how many are 1 bedrooms.
Va a seguir platicando con el señor sobre esto, exactamente cuántos apartamentos van a tener 3 habitaciones o 2 o 1 para ser propietario de ellos.
I have another question.
Yeah, go for
I have
it.
a series of questions, actually.
Yeah.
But, I was wondering if, I'm not seeing it here in the artistic rendering,
Mhm.
but I was wondering if there was a possibility for rooftop access. I know that solar panels were being considered in the construction of this new project. Yeah, just wondering if that was a thing.
So, not planned currently is the quick answer.
La pregunta era si hay acceso al techo, rooftop solar panel.
Yeah, so bueno, la pregunta era si hay acceso para los residentes para entrar al techo y para como disfrutar del espacio abierto. Y yo pregunto eso porque tienen planeado poner paneles solares. Y él respondió que en este momento no tienen planes para dejar a los residentes llegar como al techo.
So, not planned currently, and part of it, a big part of it is in order to hit passive house certification and get all those energy savings and reduce the utility bills for people, we need to have solar PV on the roof.
La razón por la cual no tienes diseñado para vivir en el techo es porque tiene que pasar la certificación de uso, de usar menos energía, si no pueden obtener esa certificación.
And then I guess my last question is, it isn't related to 440, but you did mention it, the 1005 Broadway. Are those all rent? Are they all renting, or is there the option for folks to sort of buy at all?
All of the ones at 1005 Broadway are rental.
So, las unidades de 1005 son para rentar, solamente para rentar.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm finding the unit mix right now, but go ahead.
Hola, buenas noches a todos. Mi nombre es Lady Albam, vivo en la 38 Williams Street, aquí en Chelsea, hace aproximadamente 3 años. Mi pregunta, y qué pena volver a hacerla, es que me causa curiosidad cuántas viviendas, cuántos apartamentos van a ser como estudio o de una habitación, de 2 y 3 habitaciones.
My question is, and I'm sorry to have to ask this again, y perdón, ¿tu nombre?
Lady Albam.
Lady. My question is how many units are going to have, will be studio, or 1 room, or 2 rooms, or 3 rooms in total?
So, you can do that. Matt, let me pull it up. So here, you'll see, it's a little, here we go. So we have 4 2-bedrooms right here. We have 4 1-bedrooms here, so they all stack on each floor, right? 2 through 5. We have 4 2-bedrooms here, 4 studios, 4 1-bedrooms, 4 3-bedrooms, and 4 2-bedrooms.
De los 10 que tenemos acceso.
Oh, for the 10 that we have access to.
So that's what I'm, yeah. So here's the answer. I was just pulling it up, sorry. So of the 10 homeownership units, the current breakdown that we're planning, again, this could be up for discussion, 1 studio, 4 1-bedrooms, 4 2-bedrooms, and 1 3-bedroom. Okay?
Okay, so es un estudio.
4 1-bedrooms.
Uno de 3 habitaciones, 4 de 2 habitaciones,
Sí.
y 4 de 3, de
Un-
una habitación, sorry.
Yeah. So it's 1 studio, 4 1-bedrooms, 4 2-bedrooms, and 1 3-bedroom under the current plan.
Solo uno de 3 y un estudio, lo demás son todo 4.
Okay.
Muchas gracias.
Other questions? Yeah, go for it.
One more question. So I guess my other question is, for folks being eligible to apply for this affordable housing, I guess my question is like requirements in terms of Chelsea is a city where people have sort of diverse migratory statuses, right? Some people are citizens, have received different, are in different parts of their immigration status. So I was wondering if this project would be available to folks who perhaps are not citizens of this country or don't have green cards or anything like that. Mi pregunta era si este proyecto sería asequible a las personas de Chelsea que tal vez no tienen como ciudadanía o tienen un green card, tarjeta verde, porque sé que hay muchas personas en esta ciudad que quieren vivir en estos apartamentos, pero desafortunadamente no tienen los documentos para poder acceder a esta oportunidad.
So,
I don't know if you're qualified to answer that. That's my other.
Yeah, that's a great. So, I believe the answer is you have to have a qualified legal status. But what I want to do is refer that question to my friends at the neighborhood developers, who are much better at figuring out the nuances of some of those questions, and we'll find out too.
Okay.
Yep.
Adivina que sí, que tiene que tener estatus legal, pero quiero referir esta pregunta a la gente que se ocupa de desarrollar el vecindario, the neighborhood developers, los desarrolladores del vecindario.
Any other questions? So my guess is that the city would be happy to take feedback, after this meeting. If anything pops up, feel free to reach out to us. My contact information is here, and it's on the proposal as well. Feel free to email me or the city if you have any follow-up questions, and we'll get right back to you. But we look forward to continuing the conversation.
Entonces, ese es mi correo electrónico, y si ustedes desean preguntar preguntas o aportar reacciones, por favor, comuníquense conmigo, or the email and anything else, just, yeah.
Any questions? Yeah.
Cualquier pregunta a ese correo electrónico ahí.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good night.